When I was going through a lot of things, I was afraid. I was absolutely terrified of the things that were around. Many of the things. I was afraid of not getting my homework done, classwork done. I was also afraid of failure. That if I don't succeed in this, what happens? If I fail, doesn't that mean it's all over? Doesn't that mean all my efforts were for nothing? All those efforts, all that time, all that hours, all of the minutes, seconds, sweat and blood that went into it, was that all just a waste? Was all that hard work, hard effort a waste? I was afraid of a couple people who would, threaten me, people who would say they would do this to me, do that to me. Practically everything around me. I was afraid, like very afraid, like a prey. Like a literal worm. I thought I had birds circling around in the sky. I literally felt like the weakest man in the room when I walked in. Not even man, I felt like a literal boy. I walk in a room and I see 10 guys, 10 average guys, and I see myself being them. They were afraid of failure. I was afraid of failure. So I continued being afraid of failure and failing more times, being stuck, confused. And I thought there was practically no solution. No solution to solve the problem. All I thought was, oh, well, you know, fear of failure because of the stupid school system which taught me failure is bad. The employee mindset. I literally probably never ever tried to do something with my life because the amount of fear I had. The amount of fear I had literally prevented so much progress. Oh, because what? Fear of failure, fear of progress. And then I said, hang on a second. Hang on a moment. The heck with that. Is fear really that bad? Fear of failure, fear of anything, and really that bad. I start researching like a scientist, like a madman. And I discovered what I'll be speaking in this video today. You see, all the great conquerors, all the great leaders, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, and all of the very many of people, they all had fear. The Mongols, who were thought to be one of the fiercest warriors, they had fear. They would be concerned every single day if a tribe of men, or army of men, would come over and take them over and overrun them. They had fear. Alexander the Great, he had fear. All these great people in history, Napoleon Bonaparte, fear. All these great men in history all have always had fear. Fear of their opponent beating them. Fear of not getting the board they need to survive for the next day and the next day and the next day for their family. Because all the great men in history, if they had fear, why are we so concerned about the fear of failure? Fear of failure. Fear of not even doing a thing. You idiot. You absolute idiot. Why do you have fear of failure? You see many of the people who have had the leadership you want, the success you want, all these great qualities. All of them have had fear, but they didn't have fear of failure. Even if they fail, they can literally just go back again. There's no point in being afraid of the failure, because then you're not going to do anything. You're just going to stay right where you are, having maybe failed once or twice compared to the winner. Winners have failed 10 times, 100 times, maybe even 1,000 times to get where they are now. But they've also had literally 10,000 times more wins compared to the other guy who just sits down. Oh, I'm afraid of failure. Oh, I have the fear of failure. This guy who's afraid of failure, who has a fear of failure, is probably you. It's probably you. And why is that? Why is that you're so afraid of failure? When failure has literally always been a path, a step, a process of success. Many people failed at many things. Thomas Edison, while he was trying to invent the light bulb, he failed at least 1,000 times. At least 1,000 times, probably, right? We've all heard about this. He tried to, make his inventions, all the other people making their inventions. They fail. Finally, they make the right decision. They make the light bulb. They make the other invention. They could literally do this, right? After they failed so many times. They weren't afraid of failure. No. They weren't afraid of failure. Because failure has always been a process of us natural human beings. We as men fail, grow, and have fear. So, if you have fear of failure, I just want you to know you're an idiot. You see, all the greats, all those people you look up to, whether it's Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, all these major people in sports, history, or any of those things, all of them have had fear. They had fear of their opponent beating them. They had fear of their team beating them. They had fear. Not the fake, wimpy little fear like you have, you coward. Actual, real fear. of their opposition winning. They only fear just to make sure their opposition doesn't win. Because they do fail, they take over their land. They overrun them, they overthrow them, kick the kings out, whatever. In that case, fear of failure. Even then, it's not the same way as you fear failure. Because for them, it's way more drastic. So you have no excuse. You have zero excuse. So fix that mentality of that weak mentality that, oh, but bro, I'm a failure. If you want to stay right where you are, then go ahead. Go ahead. Now this is where all the normies and all the TikTok brains, all the average scrollers clicked off. This is where all the average scrollers have clicked off. This is the unfiltered section, where I will speak freely. Now, like I mentioned earlier, all the greats, bests, men in any specific category have always had fear. They've always had fear. But they do the thing anyway. They have fear of this. Do it anyway. Fear of this. Do it anyway. They literally had some courage, unlike you coward. Some actual courage. So, you need to actually grow. You need to grow a backbone, bro. Because that guy is literally the guy who isn't afraid of failure like you, who's actually pushing, and he's made it. He's pulling your future wife, bro. So you have to use failure for your best, to your best of your ability. I mean, if you didn't have fear, you'd probably get run over a car. You're afraid of a car. That's why you don't run into it on the street, right? It's common sense. Fear, you have to use it to the best of your ability. Fear has always been, like I mentioned earlier, a natural part of us men. We, as men, have always had fear. Always had fear. Whether it was the enemy trying to attack us, a crisis, anything. You must be prepared. That's why we have fear. That's why we have fear within us. It's to protect us, to keep us safe. So, subscribe if you want more self-improvement content. If you want to join a brotherhood full of men, click the first link in the description, bro. And welcome to our brotherhood.